G'day again. Decided to upload another video within the space of a couple of days from the previous one, which is unlike me, but anyway, primarily because I've come across that, and it's possibly the most delicious craft beer I've ever had in my entire life. It is absolutely divine. The thing is like nectar. It's just beautiful to drink. Absolutely beautiful. But anyway, I digress. Back to the current topic of the day, which is the Chinese flu. Or more to the point, the incredible amount of misinformation, shall we say, through the mass media, which has caused nothing but mass hysteria and complete fear. And of course, there's no greater way to control a population, like Hermann Goering once said, from the Nazi Party. There's no greater way to control people than to create fear. Oh, man, I can't tell you how delicious this is. It's just a beautiful, beautiful craft beer. Really nice. It's just divine. Slight sweetiness to it, very caramelly, and you also get that hit of saltiness to it as well. But it's a classic IPA. It really is beautiful. Even the smell is just divine. Yeah, Hermann Goering said that. And it's surprising how quickly society has changed. Where masks that are next to useless to stopping a virus are being mandated, and foolish sheep in the general public gleefully go along with these orders, failing to realise they're breathing in 50% of their own carbon dioxide that they're breathing out, and wearing them for prolonged periods of time is unhealthy for you. Excuse me. And then, of course, we have the COVID vaccines, which there has been some reporting in the media about adverse reactions. I guess that's because they can't really ignore them completely, because there's too many of them. Not that there's massive amounts of them, but there's certainly sufficient amounts that any sane person considering doing this should give you pause for concern and make you stop and give it serious consideration, for several reasons. Why on earth would you inject yourself with something that has been produced very quickly with no long-term testing done whatsoever? You've got three multi-corporations fighting for something that is potentially worth billions of dollars, and of course all they think about is the mullah. The money is all they think about. It's not about your health, it's about the money. And for politicians, of course, it's primarily about getting more control. And of course, once governments go down that path and get more control over the general population, they don't hand it back willingly. Never in the history of mankind has that happened. It's always had to have been taken back by force. You have things like the COVID passports that are being proposed, various governments stating certain silly things like Jacinta Ardern saying no jab, no job. And of course, you can see where all this is headed, to a society that is so regulated and so controlled and fear-based that, yeah, dystopian doesn't quite do it. But yeah, it's not a good thing. And it's interesting how this type of response has been predominant in Western countries. Not that countries like China, of course, have skipped down on it. We're all familiar with the infamous signs where doors are being welded shut on housing complexes to stop people from coming out. But yeah, then you have the fudged figures. The amount of people that they claim are dying from COVID, and in quite a few cases this has been shown to be a complete farce. In other countries, of course, the numbers are higher for a range of reasons that usually aren't taken into consideration. They just spat at you as if to create fear. Some countries have a higher population of elderly residents. They have a colder climate, and therefore anybody with any sort of respiratory issue whatsoever is more likely to be prone to illness and or death as a result of that and or COVID, or a combination of both. And then, of course, they're just automatically added to the pile of, this is another victim of the dreaded COVID-19 rubbish, which is, it's blown completely out of proportion. If you look at the figures, the actual figures in America, it's less than 1% of the population have died from, supposedly, again, if you take the figures to be absolutely concrete and couldn't possibly be any fudging, that's less than 1% of the population. Now, there have been times in the past, and not too long ago, where the flu, the ordinary common cold, has wiped out more people than that percentage-wise. So to say this whole thing has been blown out of proportion is a complete understatement. Anyway, moving on to the manosphere and the state of things, they haven't improved hugely for men in society, but I do know that the impact of the men's rights movement and the MGTOW movement is certainly starting to bite. There's a lot of women out there who are lonely and can't figure out why they cannot find a man who is willing to commit to them. Feminism is cancer, and it's not just feminism. It's unfortunately a lot of females tend to be very narcissistic and gravitate towards money and social status, and they're the types of things that attract them to a guy. The different females have different issues, obviously, but there's a lot of guys that are waking up to the issue of the male-female relationships and feminism, and there's a lot of women that just can't figure it out. Oh well, enjoy those cats. But in the meantime, resistance is good. It's good to see that there's quite a few people getting out there and starting to question the narrative of what's being taught about this Chinese flu rubbish, and starting to protest about it and trying to take back their rights that are being completely eroded by insane, lunatic government policy and the draconian enforcement of it through the police force. Anyway, peace. Me, myself, I'm just going to sit back, relax, and enjoy my salted caramel double triple IPA. Cheers.